Hello, my fellow ghosts and ghouls. Now, I am bringing you a Furnimal deck profile. If you don't know what they are a archetype used in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 shows by a kid who uses fusion monsters. Now, this over here is Furnimal Lion. Or Furnimal Leo. It looks like is what it's being called over here. Uh, he is a level 4 fairy monster. His picture, for some reason, is currently not up on DevPro. So he just appears as this. Anyway, besides him, I run a 3 giant rat because the Furnimal archetype is mostly made up of earth monsters. They are all fairy type monsters as well as earth. Besides rat, I run Mystic Tomatoes to special summon Summoner Monk and Edge Imp Scissors over here. What Edge Imp Scissors does is he acts kind of like he acts a lot like Plague Spreader. That's basically what he is. He's a Plague Spreader zombie. You return a card from your deck to the top, from your hand to the top of your deck to special summon it from the graveyard in face-up defense position, but you can only use the effect once per turn. Now, he is the only one in the deck that can be used to make these two fusions. They're called Death Toy fusions. The other monsters... Oh, also, Furnimal Leo. His only effect is that he gains 500 attack when he declares an attack. Until he gains 500 attack till the end of the battle phase. So, that's all he does. He just becomes 2100 when he attacks. Summoner Monk, most people know what he does. I usually use him to bring out something like Furnimal Leo or Giant Rat or Mystic Tomato. Usually I'll bring out Furnimal Leo if I want to make one of these. Now I'll explain the reason why I have Lavolval Chain, because it is not for dumping anything in the deck. It is actually for placing cards on top. Now Furnimal Bear, it has two effects. One, you can tribute it to add a polymerization from your graveyard to your hand, or you can send it to the graveyard to set one Toy Pot from your deck to the field. Now this is Toy Pot. Now I'll explain what Toy Pot is in a little bit. Furnimal Owl over here, what he does is you can pay 500 life points to, well, whenever he's normal or special summon, you get to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. So he's like Fusion Sage. But he also has a second effect, where you can pay 500 life points and fusion summon a Death Toy fusion monster using monsters on the field or in your hand as fusion materials. So he basically can both add polymerization and act as a polymerization. But you can only use one of the effects. Only use one Furnimal Owl effect per turn, and only once that turn. Next up we have Furnimal Cat. What Furnimal Cat does is when it's sent to the graveyard for the fusion summon, you get to add a polymerization in your graveyard to your hand. I run Fusion Recovery mainly because it can be fairly easy to run out of your Furnimal monsters and everything, and while it can special summon itself back, there are only 3 Edge Imp Scissors. 3 polymerization because you kinda have to. Foolish Burial to get Edge Imp Scissors out of the deck, send it to the graveyard, things like that. I do run Battle Fusions, and I'll explain why in a little bit. If you don't know what Battle Fusion does, when an what it does is that when an attack is declared involving a fusion monster you control and an opponent's monster, your monster gains attack equal to the attack of your opponent's monster until the end of the damage step. You can only activate one battle fusion per turn. So it allows you to get over fairly big monsters. I also run United We Stand. I'll also get into that slightly later. It's mainly because the fusion monsters themselves have very poor attack. Like, as you can see, Scissor Wolf has 2,000 and Scissor Bear has 2,200. Next up we have Fusion Reserve. You reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck and add a fusion material from your deck to your hand, and you can also add a polymerization in your graveyard to your hand. So that's pretty good. Now, Toy Pot. Toy Pot is an interesting card in the deck. It's also the reason I run Lavalval Chain. What it does is you can discard a card, draw a card, and reveal it. Also, the discarding is a cost, so things that have effects like if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can't use them. You also can't use Dark Worlds. Now, if it just says, if this card is sent to the graveyard, do this, that would activate, but what this does is that you can discard a card, draw a card, and reveal it. If the revealed monster is a Furnimal monster, you get to special summon one monster from your hand. Does not have to be a Furnimal monster you special summon, nor does it have to be the revealed monster. You can special summon any monster that happens to be in your hand. Otherwise, you discard the card that's drawn. So, say I were to activate it and I drew up Giant Rat. I'd have to just send it to the graveyard and I'd be down a card in my hand. So it would have been -1. It's technically not minus if the revealed monster is a Furnimal, because you still have the same amount of cards total from field and hand. And now the reason for like Battle Fusion and United We Stand, as I said, is the fusions themselves. United We Stand is usually used on my friend Scissor Wolf over here. Scissor Wolf has a fairly interesting effect. This is what he can do. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion material monsters and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Each battle phase, this card can attack a number of times equal to the number of fusion material monsters used for its fusion summon. So, say I were to activate polymerization. Say my opponent just passed. They have nothing in the back row. I happen to have one of each Furnimal monster and Imp Scissors in my hand. Or, well, actually, you just need 3 Furnimal monsters and scissors. And you fuse them together with polymerization. You make this. Well, it can attack 4 times and deal 8,000 damage if your opponent doesn't control any monsters. Besides him, we have Scissor Bear, who, when he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, and since it's a graveyard, gets to equip it to himself. He can equip it to himself. It still hits the graveyard, so like a Giant Rat would still get its effect off and everything. But then you do get the opportunity to equip it to you. And what it does is your Scissor Bear will gain 1,000 attack. Now, in the anime, rather than gaining 1,000 attack, it gains all the attack of the monster destroyed, which is fairly insane. And they also have like this trap card or magic card or something he uses that allows it to attack a number of times equal to the number of cards equipped to it. So as it keeps equipping and gaining insane amounts of attack, it can just attack more of it. In all honesty, it was just a really bad time for our main character when they dueled, but I like the deck. I like the idea of it. I don't think that with the cards it currently has in it, it can really be very good. Someone may think of an archetype or something that I don't and be able to fuse it with that and create a very good deck out of it, but I've looked at this multiple times, I've tested it out in multiple ways, and in the end I just couldn't really find anything. Levolvo Chain, I said I was going to say the reason. Well, the reason is just to top deck a Furnimal monster so you can get a special summon whenever you use your Toy Pot. Also, Toy Pot does get an effect when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. You get to add a Furnimal monster or Edge Imp Scissor from your deck to your hand. So it's honestly a really good. It's not a bad fusion archetype. As far as fusion archetype goes, it's not a bad one. There are a lot of worse fusion archetypes, and I think if they were just given like maybe some more Furnimals with decent effects and a card that treated its name as Edge Imp Scissors, that it would be a lot better. But other than that, there's not really much I have to say about the archetype. I do only have 13 cards because I couldn't really think of what to put in here. Like, I was thinking of rank 3s, but I honestly kind of gave up on the deck before I finished everything because I really couldn't think of anything to do with it. Like, I'm not trying to diss the deck or anything. I just couldn't really find anything to do with it. As I said, it's not bad. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just couldn't figure out something to do with it. And I've done stuff with a lot of different decks. So, I did try. I did want to bring you one that could do at least halfway decent, but maybe I'm just putting in too much tech. Maybe I should just just clear everything out and then start putting everything back in. If their monsters just had decent attack, like if Bear just had even 300 more attack, making it 25, it would be a decent card. It would be quite a good card, and Wolf really doesn't have much going for him either, so I had to figure out a way to boost him up, and I figured Battle Fusion and United We Stand would be the best things. I also didn't, like I said, I didn't build this to be a very competitive deck. It isn't really meant to go up against, like, Light Sworns and things like that. It's just kind of meant to, you know, be a fun deck. It's not meant to be all serious. Now, I will say you can pull off some good combos. Like, if you have Summoner Monk, you can send a Toy Pot from your hand to summon one of your cards. And you can make an XYZ or just leave it there if you summon Giant Rat or Tomato. And your Toy Pot will get you either Scissors over here or one of your Furnimals. So, like, it's not entirely hopeless. I've won a few duels with the deck, but for the most part, it's just, I feel really bad that I couldn't do anything with it. I honestly do, and I really hope that someone gives it more credit than I do and can do more with the deck than I can, because it looks like a really fun archetype. It's really cute for the most part, except for Scissors here. Scissors and these. Other than these, is a really cute looking archetype, and I think it's funny that they all fuse with Edge Imp Scissors to just create these grotesque looking mutilated toys. I think that's actually really funny, and I actually really liked it whenever I saw it, because the people were talking about how cute it was, and then he summoned Scissor Bear, and the look on their faces was amazing. But I couldn't do it, so maybe one of you guys can. Maybe one of you guys can, or maybe some other tuber did. but I hope someone does, and I hope you guys like it.